Welcome to the Church of Perpetual Life. My name is Neil Vandry and I am your officiator here, and I welcome you to joining us this evening to our live stream. If this is your first time joining us at Perpetual Life, I'd like to invite you to join our email list so that you can get updates on all that is going on with Radical Life Extension so that you may live longer and healthier lives. You can join our email list simply by emailing me at neil@churchofperpetuallife.org, neal@churchofperpetuallife.org, or you can email us through the website. I understand that there are many people creating watch parties around the country and around the world, and we welcome you to do this in your local community as well. So often I'm contacted by people that ask me, is there a Church of Perpetual Life in our city? Is there one near me? Unfortunately, we are the only one in the world, but fortunately, we live stream all of our services, so you can watch this service and all of our past services through our YouTube channel. You can also have your live meetups when we're having our services, or feel free to use any of our past recordings and share them with all of the people that you love. I miss you all, just as I know you miss coming here to visit with us at the church. Please let me know how you are doing and send me a text or an email. Let me know if anyone from our church is suffering with COVID-19 or any other health challenges. I'd also love for you to share any great and joyful news that you have as well. Please join me in reciting our creed. We believe that all life is sacred, and that we have been given this one life to make unlimited. We believe in our Creator's divine plan for all of humanity to have indefinite lifespans, in perfect health and eternal joy, rendering death to be optional. By following our gospel, we achieve eternal life, creating a heaven here on earth. We follow Nikolai Fedorov, who taught that the transcendence of the Creator will only be solved when humanity, in our unified efforts, become an instrument of universal resuscitation, when the divine word becomes our divine action. And we follow Arthur C. Clarke, who said, the only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. And so we enter each day energized in spirit and empowered by the words of our prophets to live in joy, serving our Creator and all of humanity forever and ever. As you know, the RAADfest was a few weeks ago, and at the RAADfest they had many amazing presentations, and you can see all of them now. You can get their recordings. Just go to the RAADfest.com website, that's RAADfest.com, and check out all of the presentations that they have. Be sure to share this event with all of your family and friends as well. Our mission here at Perpetual Life is to assist all people in the radical extension of healthy human life. Here we provide fellowship for longevity enthusiasts. At our regular services, we often have guest speakers that teach scientific rationality along with the Creator's plan that humanity evolved to achieve markedly extended, healthy human lifespans. We follow the prophets of Arthur C. Clarke, who said, when a distinguished but elderly scientist states that something is possible, he is almost certainly right. When he states that something is impossible, he is very probably wrong. And also the prophet Nikolai Fedorov philosophy of the common task for humanity. Fedorov believed, as we believe here, that we should divert human energies away from wars and dissensions toward measures for protecting mankind against natural disasters such as earthquakes and floods and hurricanes, especially also aging, and to transform nature from a temporary enemy into an eternal friend, eventually for us to defeat death. This Church of Perpetual Life is a faith and science-based transhumanist church. Our faith is in the Creator and in humanity to find ways toward healthy, unlimited lifespans. Because of the COVID outbreak, we have not had any in-person meetings since earlier this year, and we are happy now to begin conducting our online live streams for this event These are online-only live stream events until the threat of the COVID outbreak is over. This month, we are honored to share with you an interview with the famous actor George Hamilton and our local celebrity, Dr. Sandra Kaufmann. You may remember that Dr. Kaufmann gave a presentation here at Perpetual Life last year when she spoke about the Kaufmann Protocol. You can watch that presentation and other past events that were taped here at Perpetual Life and at our YouTube channel. The interview tonight was created originally for the RAAD Festival, and it is our pleasure to share that with you now. Please make note of any questions or comments that you have from this live stream and email those comments and questions to me at my email address, neil@churchofperpetuallife.org, or by sending them an email through our website, and it will be my pleasure to answer you and get back with you by email. Also, during the live stream, you can chat with me and others that are watching the live stream through our chat panel. So we turn now to Dr. Sandra Kaufmann and George Hamilton.
Welcome back to RAADfest. Great to have you with us. I'm really looking forward to this next segment. It's with Dr. Sandra Kaufmann and George Hamilton. Dr. Sandra Kaufmann is the chief of pediatric anesthesia at the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital in Hollywood, Florida. But she's also the author of the Kaufmann Protocol, Why We Age and How to Stop It. And she's done some really interesting work in putting together, taking a programmatic approach to anti-aging and age reversal that she is doing with George Hamilton. Now, George Hamilton is George Hamilton, actor, celebrity, and a guy who's taken really good care of himself and working with Dr. Kaufmann. So I'm really excited to see what they're doing together. So please welcome Dr. Sandra Kaufmann and George Hamilton.
I hope everyone is enjoying RAADfest this year. And of course, it is radically different than previous years. We are virtual, we are online, and of course, I openly admit that I miss seeing everyone, and I wish that I will see you next year live and in person. This year is going to be a little different in terms of my presentation as well. I will not be talking about the Kaufmann Protocol. It's my absolute privilege to introduce Mr. George Hamilton. He's one of the iconic and prolific actors of all time. I almost said of our day, but truly it is of all time. He's been in over 60 movies, because I counted them, innumerable television appearances, because there were too many for me to count. He is simply amazing. He is famous for his iconic tan, his seductive smile, his just absolutely being dapper and debonair. And having met him recently, I can actually attest to all of those things being completely true. But in addition, he's the wisest man I've ever met, and he's come here to share his wisdom with us, as well as hopefully a few stories. So without further ado, Mr. George Hamilton.
That's probably the best introduction I've ever had. If I was smart, I'd leave now. I couldn't top that. I don't even think I could live up to it. It's great, Sandra. You know, we've struck up a friendship because I'm so challenged by all these mechanisms that are Zoom and everything. And we started today with the idea that I was going to be able to do this. It took a small army to get me on with you right now. And that is my biggest accomplishment to date, that I'm absolutely here and able to do this. And I'm thrilled, actually. I feel that I've accomplished something. I've entered into a new age with a beautiful woman. Why not? And if I can help in any way to do anything to help RAADfest, I'm here to do it.
Fantastic. Well, let's jump right into things. Why don't you start with how you became an actor in the first place and how you developed ideas about health and longevity?
Well, I don't know that I've become an actor. I jumped into it a long time ago because I was a kid. And my mother and brother were an amazing combination. My brother he was gay, and he was my half-brother, half-sister. And my mother was this extraordinary Auntie Mame character who had wonderful style and wisdom, and she was from the South, a Southern belle. And my brother had incredible taste and style. And I saw them growing up, and I grew up partly in the South. I went to military school in Mississippi because I was trying to find my roots, and I thought, well, I better go back to military in the southern side of it, and I joined a military school. Boy, was that something to behold. I learned exactly everything there was about a horse from the wrong end. And I found myself in the cavalry and hoping and praying that I could get out and go home. And I went back to Memphis, Tennessee, where my mother and my brother were. And I knew that they loved movies. They were thrilled by movies. And all they thought about were actors and everything. So I just watched them, and I'd watch Cary Grant in the movie. How are you? And I could do Cary Grant. I would put on his glasses, and I sort of tried to look like Cary Grant. And my mother said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Mom, you like Cary Grant." She said, "Well, I don't want you as Cary Grant." And I would copy one character after another. And I was only 11 years old. My grandfather was a doctor in this town, and he was a wonderful doctor. He delivered thousands of babies. And my grandmother was a Christian Science practitioner married to my grandfather in Blytheville, Arkansas. So I found myself in a world which was confused, but not so. It took me a long time to kind of figure out that my grandfather took a lot of his strength from the positive beliefs that my grandmother had. And because of it, he rounded out this ability to prescribe the remedies for people's health. They weren't always just about medicine. They were about attitude and one's karma and one's belief in themselves and one's ability to transcend. And I thought, well, this is all kind of esoteric and my world's already upside down. And I thought, what do I want to be? I couldn't. My father was an orchestra leader in the 1920s, wonderful man, went to Dartmouth, and he was married after my mother. And I went to stay with him to try to find my bearings. And then I realized that what my mother and brother wanted is what I wanted. I wanted to become an actor. And I thought, well, the only way to do that is to get in a car and go to Beverly Hills, California, or Hollywood, as it were. And I drove out here with a couple of friends. And when I got here, I realized that the town was just absolutely out of its mind, that there was really no basic premise to the acting. The acting, you had to be a good actor, but to get to be an actor, you had to play all sorts of characters first. You had to go into a studio and you had to be somebody. I had no list of credits. I didn't know what to do. So I just went into the studio and I said, well, you know, I'm from Palm Beach. Palm Beach, this is Florida, yes. Oh, really? What did your mother do? Oh, she's just, you know, socialite. So, socialite, yes. She was married to them. And I wouldn't lie, but I would let them believe well, it wasn't a matter of hours where they said, you know, we're about to put this guy under contract. He's a son of a very wealthy Palm Beach family. And before I knew it, they were saying to me, do you have a car? I said, well, yes, but it's not the one I want. And they said, well, let us help you with that. And I said, well, all right. And they said, what do you want? We can get you a nice Ford. I said, Ford's a nice car. I know one of the help drives it, and they like it. They said, help? I said, yeah, you know, we have staff. Staff, you have staff. Before I knew it, I walked out of there with a Rolls Royce. And I didn't ask for it. They wanted to give it to me because they thought that's what they wanted under contract. So I just allowed them to believe whatever they wanted to believe. I never presumed anything. I just assumed. I never assumed anything. They just presumed. That's what I'm trying to say. And before I knew it, I was living the life of a movie star with no credits. And I was in the world. Does that make any sense to you?
No, it does. It's absolutely fantastic. And I'm just going to steer the conversation to wanting to know what sort of behaviors in your fellow movie stars that you saw, you liked, you didn't like, that sort of helped you figure out how to maintain the health that you still have today?
I saw incredible star power. I was working with incredible actors. I was working with a great movie star, Robert Mitchum, and Mitchum was wonderful, except he knew the dialogue. He was just too drunk to say it. And I thought to myself, God, that guy's incredible. And I would hang out with him, but I thought to myself, you're going to die if you go into another bar with Robert Mitchum. And George Peppard, this other actor, he tried to keep up with him. And poor George died some years back. And I thought to myself, what is it that you have to do? It's what you don't have to do. What you don't have to do is you don't have to drink. And I gave that up right away. I saw that was the biggest mistake that these wonderfully talented people had. I even opened a bar for a while. I had a wonderful wine place where you get the best wines in the world and perhaps the best cigars. And I was smoking away these incredible Havana cigars, living this incredible life and great wines. I mean, when I tell you the wines, there were some of them $5,000 a bottle. And I realized that will kill me faster than anything. So abstinence was the first thing I learned. Abstinence from the things that hurt you. And we make assumptions that because of the price, that those are the things that are going to be the things we want. And they weren't. It took me a long time to kind of get a hold of those things. And then I met Gloria Swanson, who was this incredible movie star of the 1920s and 30s. She knew more about health than any doctor that I knew. I had a problem and my health. And as a little kid, I had lost my hearing. And I was told that I'd never hear out of the ear again. And my grandfather, who it was at the advent of penicillin, said, I want to try this antibiotic with you. It healed my hearing. But then I had all kinds of problems based on what medicines they gave me for my hearing. And so I then had to learn, which Gloria Swanson taught me, how to cleanse yourself, how to keep yourself. It's like a car or something. You have to cleanse the sludge out. It wasn't difficult to learn, but not many people understood it. So I used abstinence. My liver was the first thing I looked at cleansing. And the minute I would cleanse the liver, for a while I would, when you would go on these cleanses, I would feel terrible for 2 weeks, just awful. And then all of a sudden I had more energy than I could imagine. And I thought, you freed up your engine to move. She taught me all these things. And then when I had some health challenges that were around this, she said, go to Dr. Niehans in Switzerland. I said, who's Dr. Niehans? I thought he was just an eye, ear, and nose. He was a cellular therapist, one of the very first. And they used sheep cells, unborn sheep cells. I went to Dr. Niehans and he said, I don't know what I can do, but I'm going to give you the sheep cells. Well, whatever happened, my health improved amazingly from that. And so I started looking at life in a different way than I ever had. And I started realizing my grandmother and grandfather had it right. This combination of mental clarity, mental focus, mental optimism, the sense of a higher being, that we weren't just put on this earth willy-nilly. There's a system to us, and we must respect that system. And that's the karma that comes into the world. If you give in, you give bad things to the world, you're going to get it back. If you give good things to the world, you get it back. I've lived my life under those principles, and my health comes roaring back. When I want something, it's just like that first Rolls Royce they gave me. I didn't ask for that car, but the presumption was that I should have it. They thought that, and I was driving it. It's the same way with my health. The presumption is that I should be in great health. I assume that and presume that, and before you know it, I do all the right things, not to offend.
Well, I'm gonna stop you there because you're famous for not doing exactly all the right things. Let's talk about your addiction to the sun.
I thought you were going to say girls. That's wrong.
We can talk about that next.
Well, I used to watch flowers grow and a little bit of dew and rain and the sun. I always thought the sun has a bearing in it. And I always thought to myself, well, it can't hurt you. It can hurt you too much. That I understand. So I started looking for the antidote. What is the thing that will get rid of the actinic keratosis, the basal cell carcinoma, that it is not, it does not lead into a full cancer? And I found it. I found it early on. And I do a regimen of this about every 6 months. And if there's even one little cell, any keratosis, it immediately, within a period of, I would say, 7 days, the application of this, it's gone. So my skin is like a baby skin. It's dark from the sun, and I can take an enormous amount of sun. but I don't have any of those. I don't have any keratosis, carcinoma, any of that. And it should.
So I'm gonna stop you just for a second because I do need to talk science here for just a sec. So
Sure.
before people go out running outside and deciding that you can get as much sun as you want and you can look as beautiful as George Hamilton, I will tell you that very recently we have put him on astaxanthin, as most people know is one of my favorite molecules of all time, and that in fact will block some of the damage from his sun tanning proclivities. As well, we are putting him on some DNA repair mechanism medications such that what damage he does bring to himself, maybe we can cut some of that off. But let's talk about your second bad habit. Let's talk about women.
Well, women are amazing for me. They bring the joy. They are the real sunshine in my life. I kind of understood that. I never tried to challenge a woman into what her beliefs are, or if a woman has a feeling, it may not be specifically what she's trying to say. It's an ache in her heart or something. And all I try to do is embrace that. I try to make a woman feel it's a safe spot to download, to tell me what she feels. I don't try to make it right. I just try to be there. That was the first important lesson I learned.
I'd have to say that that's pretty ingenious because most modern men just don't want to listen. Tell me about the best leading ladies.
Well, they're hard. They're hard to come by because it's a very difficult thing. Women are not, as leading ladies, not always what they hold themselves out to be. They have to be very strong, and to be a leading lady, everything is thrown at them. Everything comes onto them. Everybody's trying to pitch them. And so you don't really want to do that. One doesn't want to do that. I would walk alongside and if anything, would be an advisor. Elizabeth Taylor loved that because I would take her hand. I instinctively knew that when we were crossing the street, it wasn't about the car. It was about the feeling that she felt vulnerable for a moment. And that was the moment I stepped in. When a woman feels vulnerable and a man is there, he'll win the day. Doesn't matter what he looks like or how old he is. It's the idea that he knows that she feels weak for that moment. And I use that as a euphemism, but the bottom line is that I think I've always done that. I don't try to be a come-on specialist. None of that works. That's kind of tacky stuff. The best thing I can do is be there. Just be there for him, and I have been. I'm a good guy. I don't have a game that I'm playing. Again, it's assumption and presumption. I give them the ability to think that I can solve the problems. But I may not be able to. But the idea that I'm there to do it is all that counts.
Well, I think in all of your spare time, you should write a dating manual for the present day, because I don't think men today have the skill set that perhaps you have acquired over the years.
All I can tell you is it will sure help your digestion.
All right, so we're going to move on. I want you to tell me about the most fun you had in a movie.
It's interesting because I started having fun in movies when I didn't feel, it's a huge accountable problem when you make a movie and you are, you get the money for it, and you put the script together and you produce it, and you have to be on time, and there's so many things. And I produced Love at First Bite and Zorro the Gay Blade, and a bunch of really interesting, funny movies, but you feel such responsibility. It's a wonderful lack of responsibility to be an actor. You have one thing, you have to get your character right, and you have to be on time, know your lines. That's it. That's nothing else but that. The others, once you get into the business of it, you lose that. So I love it. Anytime I make a movie, I feel free to do it. I always have a good time. I'm a party of one when it comes to that. Comedies are just naturally, I just love comedies. And I also love to be on stage. I enjoy it because you have the direct feel of the audience. And I automatically will do things to keep the other actors in tow or on their toes. Many times we'll be acting and I'll throw them the wrong line and they'll go, what? And all of a sudden they become real again. It's a way of keeping it in the now and credible so it doesn't become stale. I've always had a good time in movies. Just I've done so many movies. If you go for months on end. It's not fun to be in a war movie and with a pot on your head and carrying an M1 in the Second World War movie. I did that for months on end with all these great stars, and it was fun to do it, but it really wasn't. In the end, it was just as hard as being in the Army, except you weren't shot at. You got that later with the critics, but I've done so many. I mean, I did a movie with Evel Knievel. I mean, about Evel Knievel. And the first day, he didn't believe that I would be him. He said, "He can't be me. This guy's an actor. He can't." And he kept pushing me, and I kept thinking, "This is not. I don't know how I'm going to make this little movie." And he said, "Get on the motorcycle." I said, "Get on the motorcycle?" Well, I got on the motorcycle and I popped a wheelie and rode off, and I didn't come back. And he had to call me in the hotel room and say, "I apologize." He said, "I didn't realize you could ride a motorcycle." I said, "That's not riding a motorcycle. That's popping a wheelie. Riding a motorcycle's another way of doing it." He got a respect for me for doing that. You kind of have to do that from time to time. But he was an absolute crazy man. I mean, totally mad. And to play him was fun. Playing Hank Williams, I had to play an alcoholic, and you're cheating hard. And I had to sing these songs. And I really believed I'd been born in the South. I understood the South could do that. I've just made so many movies and worked with so many actors that I don't think of myself as very special. And they don't think of me as very special. They just think of me as a guy who will get the job done and says what he means and means what he says. I see it. I see this game. I love it. It's the most wonderful. If you don't get upset by it and you enjoy it, there's nothing better in life. There was a time when I dated the daughter of the president, Johnson, and she was wonderful. She couldn't be nice. Sitting next to him, and he's looking at you, you just knew that he wanted to put you in the Army. That would be the best place he could have you. And I thought to myself, you're going to soon be in some foreign soil, probably with someone shooting at you. Johnson was quite an interesting man, but I knew Kennedy, Jack Kennedy in Palm Beach. One night, I shouldn't be telling this.
Oh, no, please.
One night, I jumped in the pool on the beach in Palm Beach, and it's the pool of then Jack Kennedy, President Kennedy. He wasn't the president then, and he was in the pool with a beautiful girl, and I jumped in with a beautiful girl. I didn't realize he was in the pool, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said, "I won't tell if you won't." I think that's just a great line.
That's fantastic.
You think Trump has a line like that?
I don't think Trump has the capacity to get away with what you've gotten away with.
No, it's not getting away. It's the way the way of embracing life is such an extraordinary thing, and to waste it, to waste a moment, and to miss the humor, but the outrageousness of it. Things appear almost magically for me because I'm open to it. It doesn't have to come at a certain time in a certain way. I was looking for a director and a writer of a movie that I'm doing, Love It Second Bite, and out of nowhere, I went to I got the name of a director, and I was going to set up a meeting. I didn't know exactly. I went to dinner, and this guy I'm having dinner with tells me he just had dinner with this guy. I mean, it's just amazing the way things happen. This is this week. Things just do that for me. So I've always realized that you cannot abuse your health. Your soul dances when you allow it to be free. You don't need to kill it with booze, and you don't need to deaden your feelings. You need to embrace them. You need to understand that those feelings are meaningful to you. Your dreams are ways to release these tensions and view things. And to deaden your senses to them is a big mistake. So I gave up all alcohol. I had a very successful business. I had tobacco farms and a place which was wonderful here in Beverly Hills for great wines. I gave them all up because I realized that was offensive to to nature and to myself eventually.
Okay, so we're going to switch directions just a little bit again. And you came to find me because you're interested in longevity. And I want you to talk about what you did just a little bit before that, because you actually came to me with a significantly pretty decent list of different agents. And then we're going to talk about how we've tweaked it and how you're feeling now.
Well, I've been going to a fellow, Professor Carrington, and he's wonderful. And he's given me so many things that were helpful, because when you feel sickly, your whole world changes. The negativity comes in on you. Negativity can create sickness. I don't know which is creating what, but you know that they bathe in the same pool. And for some reason, I felt I was going. You know, I'm 81 years old, and in my mid-70s, I started feeling things that were not consistent with my life. So I was seeking out people who understood these things and what could make me have better feelings about health and all. And I tried them, and I started getting better, and I couldn't get on top of it all. I felt as though it was part exercise. Very important, the exercise. I've started an incredible exercise program, and I do it every day. I think it's important to do that. You think it's a chore until you feel better. Once you start to feel better.
Tell us a little bit about your exercise program, because I think people would be interested to see what, as an 81-year-old, looking as amazing as you do, what is it that you do every day?
Well, I don't have any fat now. That's gone. You know, that's all gone. The thing that I do is I work out with a fella. One of the ladies that works for me, Maria, had this trainer from Salvador, and his name is JC. He's the loveliest person. He's never on time. He's always on time, never late. He comes and gives me a basic program. And he said, Mr. Hamilton, my concern for you is your balance and that you're going to hurt yourself. I don't want to do that to you. So these are the things you must do. They seem simplistic to me until I mastered them, you know. They seem difficult to me until I mastered them. Then they seem very simplistic. And you want more. And all of a sudden your body wants this sense of being challenged, because you're not pushing something that you can't do. You're getting past a blockage in yourself. So I found myself feeling better all the time. And then I want more exercise. So now it's cardio. The cardio, the program he gives me, he's right by me during the time, but you can do it on your iPhone. There's a lot of these companies that have really wonderful things with pictures and all. And I know a couple of them that are fantastic. You work out on those and you do them safely. And then I'm into cardio now and walking, you know, running and walking. It isn't something, it's a stress. It stresses in a good way. It's good stuff. It's the Hans Selye positive stress. And that stress gives you the youth again. It's by not having stress. Mental stress and being negative stress, not good for you. Positive stress, it's the future out of it all.
So wait, I'm gonna cut you off there because we just have a few more minutes. I want you to talk a little bit about the concerns that you had. You don't have to go into detail when you came to me, and then I'm going to explain a little bit of what we've done, and then we're going to promise to the people of People Unlimited that we're going to revisit everything in a year, and we're going to show you tap dancing and doing handstands.
Well, that would probably be easier. The tap dancing would be easier. That's what I do. But the handstands, I'm not so sure about. Why don't you tell them from your point of view what you heard, and then I'll back it up. Just you can jump through the
Sure. So what I heard was just a general lack of energy, just sort of a winding down, maybe some small memory issues, but nothing major. And just not feeling absolutely up to snuff.
Well, the reason I came to you initially is that I had surgery some 2 or 3 years back. And in the surgery, I was under for several, I don't know how long it was, but it was quite a long time. And after the anesthetic that they'd given me, I found myself memory lacking, you know, and it was never my way of doing it. I knew facts and figures right away. And so I thought, when I heard about you, I thought, well, this is a woman who is a doctor, and it's childhood anesthesia. Anesthetics, in that, you really have to know your game to do it for children. And I thought, what better than a doctor who's so connected in health, but has worked with children and had to be really careful. So I jumped at that. And you've worked with the memory thing, with the substances and all. I'm not sure I want to remember all these things, but I'm doing it. It's kind of good. The thing is that the memory is terribly important, because if you don't know where you came from, it's hard to figure out where you want to go. And I kind of enjoyed all my life, and I really loved some of my stories. And so that's already starting to improve greatly.
Great. So I'm just going to just intercede just for a second here and be a science geek. So because of your age, we put you on some senolytics. As I said, we added some astaxanthin. I added some DNA repair mechanisms. We, of course, added some nicotinamide to make all the sirtuins and such work better. And we added some more anti-inflammatories that cross the blood-brain barrier.
Right.
So after, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, here we are. And I want you to sort of just briefly tell people how you're feeling now.
Well, it's a strange thing. Initially, it was a sense of melancholy. I couldn't figure out what melancholy really meant to me. It meant that I was starting to feel positive, but I had a tinge of romance in my life again. By that, I mean, I felt like I wasn't here just to have hard labor. I was here to enjoy my life. And what started out in my life was this sense of fun about everything. Isn't it wonderful? And that had started to go. And I thought, why? I don't know. Is it part of growing old? I don't have that. I have this sense of optimism again. And that's what you seem to twig to, is this sense of I don't know how it's going to work out, but I know it's going to be good. That's what life should be. It shouldn't be drudgery. And so all of a sudden I'm not taking any kind of a mood elevator or anything like that. But the benefit of some of the substances you gave me is that you do have a sense of optimism about life. You go from negative to positive, which is back to what my grandfather and grandmother did. My grandfather said, these illnesses that I'm seeing are not caused just by somebody having a disease. It's because they have lack of something, and they're all of a sudden negative. Part of it, my grandmother said, was a sense of dread. She said a lot of people fear things, and the fear causes this negativity, and it did create it. But you're able to free up a lot of that by some of the things you prescribe. And I'm very interested to see, and we will meet back here a year from today and see how this goes.
So I hate to cut you off, but we are at the end of this fantastic interview. I am so thankful. This is just an absolute amazing experience for me, and I appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate RAADfest and that they were kind of invite me, and I'm very interested in this and all things that will help mankind. So anything that anyone wants to write me, I'm happy to get back to them and share this. It's a wonderful thing for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And hopefully, with any luck, we will be live on RAADfest stage next year. And we'll have a lot more to tell you with the great Mr. George Hamilton. Thank you so much.
Very alive next year.
Wow, great job. Great job.
Yeah.
There you are. There you are. Great job, Dr. Kaufmann.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Thank
Good to see you.
I think George is coming up there too real soon. We don't see him yet, but George, nice job.
Thank you. Well, it's
There
a
you
bit
go.
bizarre.
Hi, George.
I've never done anything quite like that before, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, wow. That was impressive. We all got a lot out of that. And I want you to meet, I don't think you got a chance to meet Bernadine,
No.
my partner. This is George
can't
George
see you.
Hamilton.
Hi, George.
Hi,
Nice to
Bernadine,
meet
but I
you.
can't see you. I see Sandra and myself for the interview
Oh,
here,
he
and that's
can't
it.
see us.
Oh, you can't see us yet? Okay. You see me, George? Waving
No,
at you?
don't see you.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
is there a way of pushing this? It says host, but it's just a, what do you call it? I wonder if
Okay.
I better not try, huh?
Yeah.
There you I see
I think they're
Andrew.
working on it, though. Okay.
Now I do. Now I see you.
There you go. There you go. All right. All right.
Hi.
Yeah.
This is Bernadine.
Yeah,
Yes,
Bernadine.
Nice to meet you,
Hello,
George.
Bernadine.
You're looking great.
Well, I'm 81, and Sandra's going to make me 100.
How many years you been here? Tim, how many years you been here, Sydney?
George, I've been here for 83 years. I'm going into my 84th now. I'm living my
Very.
84th now.
Well, you certainly don't look it.
Well, I've
Yeah,
been
she's-
working on this for a while, you know.
We're all,
Fantastic. Well, that's what this all about. Well, we don't get too crazy. You know, there's nothing worse than people bizarre. And you know, I love this whole life. My life is just I'm so blessed to be able to be living in this time, and when
Right.
this is opened up, so that we have the ability now to live beyond what we thought. And
Right.
if we can live longer and eventual some form of immortality, but I'm settling right now. I'm settling for a day at a time. But
yeah. Yeah. Well, you
I'm
know what? We
thrilled.
have to take it step at a time. We have to take it
Right.
step at a time. And thank you for being a great advocate of this life with us. You're a great inspiration. And
Right.
yeah, you guys did a great job on this presentation. So we're looking forward to hearing the exchange here and the questions that Dr. Kaufmann's got and your exchange together. So take it away, Dr. Kaufmann. Thank you so much again.
Yeah,
great
so
job.
good to see you, Sandra.
Great job.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you
So
later,
this is-
George.
It's just a fabulous opportunity. I want to thank you guys first and foremost, and of course Mr. Hamilton, who's amazing.
it's George, Sandra. But I'm
Oh,
calling
yeah,
you Sandy already.
Have to be polite on camera, right? So the question that popped up first is you talked about the chemical that you're putting on your skin for the actinic keratosis. People want to know a little bit about that.
Well, see, the one problem I have is I don't want to advocate things for others except for myself and all. But I went to doctors early on to see, and they said, look, you know, you're harming your skin. You know, I said, I love the sun and things grow in it and I feel good. So yeah, but it doesn't matter. You're setting yourself up for skin cancer. So I had a couple of actinic keratosis and basal cells, and I went to several doctors, and they were, well, I can remove this. And finally, they gave me a cream, and the cream is simple. I just dab it on, and about I do it over a period of a week or 2 weeks, and it exfoliates, and it's gone. Now, I've had my skin checked regularly every 6 months now for years, and it hasn't gotten worse. And it's amazing. And I don't know if I'm supposed to give the name of that cream because it's something that a doctor can prescribe, and it worked fantastically well for me.
Well, I can interject a little bit here because I know what drugs you're on. And the answer is it's called 5-FU, and it's a chemotherapy agent. It is topical. It is only prescribed by physicians, and it does sort of get rid of pre-malignancies of the skin. It is pretty brutal. So definitely for anyone listening, it's not something you're going to go out and buy at CVS. It's definitely doctor directed with very specific instructions. So the next question that people asked is, what is the strangest thing that you have done in search of health and longevity?
Well, when I was in my 20s or 30s, I drove to Tijuana. Just going to Tijuana was one of the strangest things I ever did. But I got there and I had cells from a professor there, von Schenk, his name was, and it was a clinic there. And I was in search of trying to find what were modern day stem cells. Now, you got to imagine, I'm 81. That was, I was 18, 19 years old at that time. And I just had this feeling that there might be some essence of life, and they wouldn't allow us to have it in the United States. So I went there to find it. I don't think I found it, but it was certainly one of the stranger things I ever went through. I've done other strange things, but that's the only one I want to talk about right now.
Fair enough. So someone else wants to know exactly what does your exercise routine consist of? Is it aerobic? Is it resistance? What is it?
Well, I think it's a cross between all those things. I think that you can do one kind of exercise. The main thing is to challenge your body, and it grows stronger. It's inherent, built in to do that. Whether you just breathe differently when you work out, it changes things. I walk to restore balance, because balance is one of the things that is challenged in me. But I have a machine in front of me, is an aero Pilates machine. I work on that from time to time. I have all these bands that I use. I think the bands are great. I think that I used to use a lot of weights, and weights were could be harmful and hurtful. I find with the bands, they're not at all. I have a fellow come every day for an hour, and we do multiple exercises, and this kind of cross, fit stuff. And I find that several things are helping me. The idea that I'm challenging myself with different exercises is great. But I noticed yesterday when he took my weight, he said, "You have lost 5 pounds." And I said, "Well, is that good or bad?" He said, "Well, but look at what I've measured here. You've gained 5 pounds, exactly 5 pounds of muscle." So that's what's wonderful, is that you get rid of all the blubber, and in exchange you build back this strength. And if something is hurting or challenged, you can build it back and compensate for it. That's what's so wonderful. And I think people think of exercise as this dreary drudgery, and it isn't. It's fantastic. Once you get the use of your limbs properly, and you're able to use your whole body, and whether it's in a sport or with your wife or girlfriend, it's a fantastic thing. Advocating that always.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so we're going to jump to another question. Someone wants to know what you're on for DNA repair, and I'll field that one since you probably don't know. I just threw a lot of stuff at you. The answer I was concerned about is age and about his skin. So we put him on polypodium leukematosis as well as AC11 that are known to increase DNA repair rates. And then in terms of his physical changes, for the muscle, we'll put him on some leucine, some branched chain amino acids to increase muscle mass, and some things to decrease the formulation of fat cells. So I think it's working. I'm very excited about that.
I feel it's working.
It's been a slow process. You've been on this, my formulation now for 2 to 3 weeks. And we only have a minute left, but maybe you can talk about things that you have noticed other than what you've already talked about.
Well, it's a sense of well-being. You look at life as half full, not half empty. And in my step is a different feeling. I feel, sometimes I feel sensitivity that I've not felt in many years. And a review of people that I've loved in my life, my family and such. And I feel it again. It's almost as though layers of my entombment have been pulled back, and I'm more vulnerable, but I'm more optimistic. And you don't mind being vulnerable if you're optimistic. You don't want to be vulnerable when you're pessimistic. And I just feel I've fallen into the most amazing chance for an extended life and a second wind. And that's really what's wonderful. I thought it was all going downhill. It's not. It's just the opposite. And I must tell you, so that all of you know, that I'm not paid for any of this. This is nothing about any of it. This is all because I felt so happy. I want to give back. I want to give back to the people who stand there and say, is aging bad? Is getting old? No, it's not. It's all up here. And you must challenge yourself. And if you get the right things, my God, it's the second life. Thank you.
That is the best thing I think that Bernie and Jim want to hear ever, because that makes you a poster child. And I say that in all sincerity. And the promise that we have made to them is that we're going to keep doing this, and we're going to be live on stage at RAADfest next year. And we're going to watch you not age even more.
Well, I hope so. I want to be about 15, 16 next year.
Oh, I wouldn't go through adolescence again. That sounds terrible. I think we should shoot for mid-30s.
I think you're right.
On that note, you guys there?
Excellent, excellent. What a great session with Dr. Sandra Kaufmann and George Hamilton. And I loved what he talked about, the mindset. Wow. Don't underestimate the power of the mindset. And you know, when you hear people talking in that way about maintaining that positivity and maintaining that forward momentum, you know, you might think it's just automatic or it just comes easily to them. It's not. It's not necessarily automatic. Those are the muscles we're talking about that we need to build. And it was great to hear George Hamilton talk about that.
I want to thank you for attending our live stream this month. Be sure to get our monthly email newsletters for updates on our next service and other updates on discoveries in age reversal technologies and healthy practices all around the world. Please share this recording, the recording of this event, with all of the people that you care about, and join our event next month with a presentation by Bill Falloon here on Thursday, November the 19th at 7 o'clock. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We look forward to seeing you then. Okay.